Hi, everyone. I'm Vladimir Jutit. We are watching all the news happening in the United States and all around the world, and we have some major breaking news out of the Middle East. Israel's military says it has conducted what they're calling a precise strike targeting senior members of the Hamas leadership. This happened in the Qatari capital of Doha. This is the first time Israel has struck inside of Qatar, which has been hosting the majority of the ceasefire peace talks. For more on this, I want to bring in CBS News foreign correspondent Ramy Inocencio, who's joining us from our London newsroom. Ramy, bring us up to speed. What are we learning at this hour?
Yes, Vlad, we are following new reports of explosions in Doha here. This is the capital of Qatar, and social media videos are showing smoke rising over a district known as Qatar. This is a popular cultural hub, and Israel's military and Shin Bet, which is the country's spy agency, are claiming responsibility. They released a statement saying that it was the Israeli Air Force that carried out a targeted attack on Hamas. They're calling this Operation Summit of Fire. And to put this into important context, Vlad, Doha, we know, has been the political base for Hamas's senior leadership for over the past dozen years. And we are also getting reports that at least one senior official has been assassinated. His name is Khalil al-Hayya. He has been Hamas's chief negotiator in ceasefire and hostage talks. Israel says that Hamas members, and I say members here, plural, were targeted. So we will be looking to see if any other names appear. There are unverified reports at this point that there are more senior Hamas officials that have been killed. I'm also seeing breaking along the wires here that there might be some other information. A senior Hamas official tells Al Jazeera, the Al Jazeera network, that Khalid al-Hayya was not killed, that he has survived this assassination attempt. So this is just going to show this fog of this conflict, of this war that continues on, this attack. So we will see how this plays out over the next few hours. Israel's military and its spy agencies say that they will continue to act with what they say determination. So right now, that is the latest that we know at this point in terms of what has really happened in just the past few minutes.
All right, yeah, and as you say, Ramy, this is a fast-breaking story, and details are still coming in to you and to our newsroom. The question is, let's pull back a bit and think and talk about what happens next, because, as you know, this is a major escalation. This is the Israelis striking inside of a sovereign nation. They've done that before when it comes to their enemies, like, for example, the Iranians. But this represents a new sort of paradigm in this conflict, and I wonder if we've had any response from Hamas at all.
Right. This is a kind of breaking of the bounds once again, Vlad, in terms of the parameters of discussions, of ceasefire, of war here. There are lines coming out from various organizations and sources. For our American viewers, I'll say that the U.S. Embassy in Doha has informed Americans to shelter in place, to stay in protected areas. And they say that they have confirmed, they've seen reports of those missile strikes, telling people there to monitor social media for updates. We've also gotten a statement from Qatar's Prime Minister. He says that the state of Qatar condemns what he calls a cowardly Israeli attack that targeted what he says as residential buildings housing members of the political bureau of Hamas. So we see this acknowledgement here that the political bureau, Hamas leadership, was targeted. They're also saying that this was a criminal assault that violates international laws here. To put this into further context, Vlad, we also have to remember just a few days ago that President Trump basically gave an ultimatum to Hamas saying, in effect, that it was their last chance to come to the negotiating table. So this, I suppose the open question here is, to what degree is Washington, is President Trump involved in perhaps green-lighting what has transpired in these attacks, in these explosions in Qatar's capital?
Yeah, and we will be going to Natalie Brand at the White House, Ramy, so our viewers want to stick around for that discussion. But finally, let me ask you if there have been, if we've heard at all, and I know, again, this is just happening now If folks are just joining us, we understand that the Israeli Air Force has carried out a major strike in the capital of Qatar, Doha, where they say they were targeting senior Hamas officials. And we are still getting word as to who was actually targeted and who has been killed and who has survived. But Ramy, I also wonder about the hostages that are still being held by Hamas. What, if anything, we've heard from Israeli families about this? Because, as you say, this does represent a major escalation in this conflict. And I just worry about those hostages, those that are still alive, and what their fate could be in the wake of this attack.
Sure. And looking back over the past couple of days, the latest reporting was that negotiations were carrying on, that Hamas officials were considering a proposal from President Trump, from the White House, and that they were taking that into consideration. Now, we didn't know the outline of that, but what local Israeli media had reported is that if it were similar to this, that the demand would have been for all of the 48 Israeli hostages, both dead and alive, to be released on a potential day one of a kind of ceasefire and hostage deal. Vlad, this does call into question, though, if some, or if many, or potentially even all of Hamas's senior leadership have been killed. Where does that leave negotiations if there is no one, at least high level, to talk to for Hamas with Israel and with Washington and the mediators there? So, pushing ahead, we don't know where this will go. This has been unprecedented. I think we will have to see where and who will be coming out of this dead and alive out of the Hamas senior leadership, and then we'll be taking it from there.
All right. Ramy Inocencio reporting from London, but where, of course, our viewers will know that Ramy has reported from inside Israel and the Middle East throughout his career for us at CBS News. Thank you, Ramy, for those details, and we'll check back in with you a little later as we learn more. As we indicated, CBS News correspondent Natalie Brand is joining me now from the White House to talk more about this attack. And again, if you're just joining us, the word that the Israeli Air Force has carried out a precision attack on Hamas senior leadership, but they did this in the capital of Qatar, Doha. So Natalie, you heard Ramy, and we heard the president. He had given Hamas an ultimatum. The president, of course, campaigned on ending this conflict, also ending the conflict in Ukraine, but specifically as it relates to this, he's given the Israelis wide latitude in pursuing Hamas and its leadership, and in their attempt to get those 48 hostages, both dead and alive, returned back to their families. So what are you hearing from the White House this morning in the wake of this attack?
Well, at this point, since this is developing, we are not hearing much. White House officials say they are waiting for the president himself or Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt, who has a briefing later this afternoon to speak about this. I'm sure it's very possible we could hear from the president ahead of that. So just to be clear, no new statement or message from the president as of yet. Obviously, that is something we are tracking and reaching out for comment to learn more about whether there was advance notice. We've also reached out. Our State Department team has reached out to Special Envoy Steve Witkoff, who of course has been involved in these ongoing negotiations for months, which have stalled. But as you and Ramy were talking about in recent days, the president has given a warning to Hamas. He, a few days ago, said that they were deep in negotiations and that he wanted all hostages out or else the situation could get tough. And then we saw that social media post from the president saying that this is, his final warning. He said everyone wants the hostages home. He says it's time for Hamas to accept as well that the Israelis have accepted his terms. I have warned Hamas, he said, about the consequences of not accepting. This is my last warning. There will not be another one. So we have that social media post, and then the news that is developing today. Obviously, we don't know. It's too early to know whether these things are connected, but we will continue to ask here at the White House, and again, wait for an official statement, which could happen over social media or verbally from the president.
Yeah, and of course, one of the questions that I would have, and I think many others, including yourself, Natalie, would be, was the United States given any warning? Were they aware that the Israelis were about to conduct this operation, and how much leeway or how much time were they given before the operation was conducted? Of course, Natalie, the other sort of interesting thread when we think about this conflict is how President Trump and Prime Minister Netanyahu have been in lockstep when it comes to prosecuting this attack on Hamas in Gaza City. And of course, we understand that the Israelis are now preparing a major offensive within Gaza. And so those are sort of the thread lines that we're pursuing here. Natalie, I want you to stand by for just a moment because I want to go back to our correspondent, Ramy Inocencio, who's reporting from London, and he's been gathering new details for us. Again, if you're just joining us, Israel has launched this attack on Hamas leaders. They did this in the capital city of Doha in Qatar. Ramy, new details.
Yes, Vlad, just crossing the line here. We're getting from Israeli local media that from Channel 12 News, citing an Israeli official, that President Trump gave the green light for an attack on the Hamas leadership in Qatar. This is coming again from local news media in Israel. Right now, we still, again, do not have comment directly from the White House, as Natalie Brand has said, but that is at least what local Israeli media are saying. In addition, we have one of the members of Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's far-right government weighing in on this. This is coming from Israeli Finance Minister Bezalel Smotrich, and he says that terrorists do not and will not have immunity from Israel's long hand anywhere in the world. He said the right decision we made and a perfect execution by the IDF and the Shin Bet was thanks to everyone there who gives everyone strength. So those are a couple lines, new lines coming in from Israel regarding these strikes on Hamas's senior leadership that I just wanted to chime in on with, Vlad.
Yeah, it's an important detail, Ramy, because as you heard with Natalie, that was my very first question, is whether or not the president was aware. And now, if we understand that he actually gave the green light to the Israelis to conduct this operation, the next question, of course, would be what happened within these talks? As you say, Steve Witkoff has been conducting shuttle diplomacy over the course of the last couple of months, flying into Doha to try and attempt to broker this ceasefire to get those hostages, those remaining 48 hostages, both those that are alive and, of course, tragically, those that have been killed, back home to their families, back home to Israel. So, of course, what happened here in this breakdown of talks that necessitated this attack on the senior leadership of Hamas? And so, of course, that is a question that we're all pursuing here.